Alessa impresses the new dragon queen and faces a threat that nobody has seen. For now is the time that everyone dreads, the return of the extraterrestrial threat. Will Lessa and Flor overcome this plight? Let's find out by discussing Dragonflight!
Hello!
Hi!
Welcome everybody to Literarily Wasted. Happy Thanksgiving in advance.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
That is tomorrow for those of you who forgot. Here's your reminder that that's coming up, if you're in America. So welcome everybody. This is our live book discussion for Anne McCaffrey's Dragonflight. And as you can see, we have two very special guests here. Welcome back, Dan. There he is. And Brandy. They'll be joining us for this discussion. And we can't wait to hear what y'all think of this book. And I'm sure you can't wait to hear what we think of this book, because I feel like it's going to be interesting. But first of all, I guess we should see who's here. And I guess I need to do the song thing. We don't have Thanksgiving. There's no Thanksgiving songs, are there?
I don't think so. You could just do Christmas because everybody else is, including Dan.
Dan, you got your tree back there.
It's not a complaint either.
Okay, so should we do like a Christmas song or something?
Sure.
Okay.
Did you just forget every Christmas song?
Yes. Hi. Christopher, Carrie, Stacy, Kira, Marianne and Kathy, Leanne and Jeff and Anna and Kent, and Nicole and Cindy and Tim, Jennifer, Kent and Janelle, Kira, Stacy and Marianne and Cindy, Carrie and Giggles, and Kira and Jeff, and Kira and Giggles, Leanne, Giggles.
And Leanne again.
And Leanne again. There, that's not copyright.
I seem to recall reading once that was originally a Thanksgiving song.
You see, I feel we have corroboration here in the comments section.
Oh, there you go. You said, are there any Thanksgiving songs? And you picked the one.
There we go. Good job.
Look at me. I'm smart.
That was intentional.
Yes. So before we dive into the marathon of eating, let's talk about this book, Dragonflight. So I guess just to get started, we kind of talked about this before the stream, but for everybody that's joined us, is this your first time reading it?
For me, yes.
For Brandy, it is. Dan, have you read this before?
Twice. Once about 10 years ago and once about a year ago.
And this is your first time.
This was my first time.
My first time, too. So Dan's the only Dragonflight veteran here. But Anne McCaffrey is quite accomplished and prolific. And this book was written in 1969?
68, I think.
68?
Oh, wow.
So, at this time, there were only 5 James Bond movies out.
You have a problem.
So it's Thanksgiving. Well, I guess, let's just do general. What'd you think of it, Christy? I know the answer.
This was a rough month for me personally. Like, we just had a lot going on. We had a lot of hard things that we were dealing with all at the same time, all while reading this book. And this book, I wasn't able to get it as an audiobook. And whenever I struggle with a book, I just go to the audiobook and it helps me get through it. So I didn't have that option this time. So y'all talked a lot about in Discord, sometimes your circumstances kind of taint a book. And that's definitely maybe what happened to me. I just did not like this book at all. And I would have quit really early on if we weren't reading it for Literally Wasted. But I loved the introduction, the 2-page introduction. Man, I was so ready for it.
Kelly loved it.
I love that you loved it.
Yeah.
No, I want everybody to love it, but I did not love it. This was not for me this month.
Good. First time reading. What about you, Brandy? What'd you think?
I'm also of that I really wanted to like it.
Yeah.
And there were parts of it that I really did like, but I don't think I liked it.
Yeah.
Like I don't it's I don't know. I'm both.
There's a place for that.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I don't hate it, but I enjoyed it, but also not.
Yeah. Well, I think you can have like lots of different feelings and emotions about anything. Like I did not like this book, but there were some things about it that I really liked.
Yeah.
So you can be both.
Dan, what about you? You've read it twice.
Yeah, so this was a series that I had a really weird history as a middle and high school teenage geek fantasy reader who would, look at books on the shelves at the bookstores and think I should read that, but then never would. The entering into a series or world felt like this major commitment that I was always afraid to step over that threshold. So I didn't actually. So these were books that I was looking at the covers of since I was a teenager. Didn't actually read this one until about 10 years ago, and I liked it. And I always wanted to read more. So I reread it a year ago, and I'm just now reading book 2, finally. I'm a sucker for that, the style of the era this was written in. Like I know Lord of the Rings came before this, 10, 15 years before this or so, but it reminds me of that. It's that, like, what a lot of people might think is dry or textbooky or, not the flowery banter and fun dialogue and types of things that we get in a lot of modern fantasy. I'm a sucker for that kind of dry, just academic type written fantasy. So that has it going for me. Now, there's certainly stuff that's dated. I know some of the stuff that's going to come up that take people off this book. I have the privilege of being one of those minds that can easily remind myself of the period it was written in and separate that from modern sensibilities. So yeah, do I love this book? No, but I like it a lot. And already I feel that book 2 is kind of written tighter. It's less wishy-washy and more focused. So I'm not far into book 2, but I feel like she probably developed her writing skills as she went along as well.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, I had an interesting relationship with this book as well. I mean, it was like Christy said, we had a lot going on, but I didn't hate it as much as Christy. I don't know how much I enjoyed it. I would say that there are parts that I enjoyed. I felt like the concept was really good.
Oh yeah.
Like I feel like the setup and the premise and the concept of this, just the setup and what we were dealing with, the conflict was good, and then I felt like the execution was not. I just felt like I had to power through this book in places, not as bad as I've had to power through some other books, but yeah, I there are definitely some dated things and some questionable stuff in here, and a majority of characters that are not quite likable and such. And for me, structurally was a challenge because there are no chapters. There are only parts, and they were very long.
Yeah, that really.
I hated that.
That really.
I didn't know where to stop, and I know there was like places where like poetry happened.
The songs,
But that was few and far between sometimes. But yeah, I think I was, and also for me, like personally, I'm also kind of a sucker for like the first of something. Like I love pilots. I love like, going back and seeing like where things began and that sort of stuff. So from like I don't know, I don't want to call it like a historian's perspective. Like it's interesting to me just to, even though I'm not familiar with the rest of the series or any of Anne McCaffrey's other work, like it's interesting for me to like see like, okay, this is the first of something. It's like kind of like, and I guess I liken it to like when we read Stormfront, which is the first Harry Dresden book, and like we read that, and that was not very well liked by I think a lot of people in the book club, who are like, even Talia was like a huge Harry Dresden fan. And so it's interesting to see like, okay, well, this is where it started, and I'm sure it evolves over the course of the series.
Absolutely. And a lot of you have talked about how this series like starts more fantasy and then it gets more sci-fi over time. And like, I love that as an idea for a series. And I love the science fiction aspects we got in this book. Like I said, the introduction, I was so excited to read this book after reading the introduction, because it just, I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting the sci-fi aspect. And then we get it like immediately. And then we go like straight into fantasy. Yeah. Which I love fantasy. So like, it was a good beginning for me.
Yeah. I think the setup was great.
Yeah.
And like, even later on when like, I texted Christy, it's like, okay, we're time traveling now.
Yeah. It kind of came out of nowhere. But I didn't hate the time traveling. And I like that they like addressed a lot of the time travel issues. Like it just seemed like intuitive to them, which I really appreciated. And we didn't have to deal with like the same time travel tropes that you kind of get.
Yeah. They treated it as sort of delicately as you could, not like just willy-nilly like some things do. It's like, let's go back in time and change the future. It's like I have to go back because I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of
I think the accidental discovery of it helped the sci-fi and fantasy blend. It wasn't, let's figure out a way to defy time and just blatantly step into sci-fi territory. It was, well, doesn't everyone do this? This is what happened naturally to me, and just kind of stumbled upon it. Much like a wizard mixing chemicals and oops, I blew up the world. Just kind of accidentally discovered time travel. I think that worked for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was into it when the time travel started. I was like, okay, I just didn't expect this book about dragons to go into like.
Yeah, it was a surprise, and it was really fun.
Now, let's talk about Kira's comment here. We can get into like the characters.
This is my issue. Every single character, well, at least like Lessa and Falar especially, were so angry all the time. And like, that's the part where like I feel like what was going on in our lives really affected me, because like I needed something not angry constantly. Like all the other issues of this book, like I didn't mind. It's just the fact that the characters were just so mad and like so like secretive, but like in a mean way.
And it wasn't like grumpy sunshine, like, oh, I'm going to get this character development from like, it just didn't happen. It was very like one-dimensional.
They did seem
like a lot of the chauvinistic things in it. We could say, yeah, but Lessa is the hero of the book. She is a woman, but yeah, it's kind of hard to actually like her. she's despite what she accomplishes, despite being the hero, she's not a pleasant person.
She's not quite likable, and I agree with that. I found myself wanting to like root for the characters, and the chauvinist, of course it's a product of the 1960s. It was written by a woman in the 60s. Come on, man.
Yeah.
And I'm curious about that. So for me, that it doesn't excuse it, but it makes it easier for me to swallow. It doesn't seem as much like some jerk dude writing it who thinks men are better than women. But I know someone, I forget who in Discord, said it made it worse knowing that a woman wrote it, which wouldn't have occurred to me as a reader.
Yeah.
But from like a plot point aspect, I can say like if I were to just chart the plot points, I enjoyed that. part of it. Like I think that kept me in. That made it easier for me to read because there were places where I was kind of waiting to see what happened next, and there were places where I was wishing something would happen next.
A lot didn't happen for a long time.
Yeah.
Like I felt like we were constantly just waiting for things to happen.
Kira goes so far to say all the characters were pretty insufferable and arrogant for me the whole time, and it didn't feel like they grew much. That may change in future books. Lessa felt like she just reluctantly settled into the traditional woman role. That she definitely became just kind of like a chambermaid of sorts. I mean, we can address the big elephant in the room with Flar and their romance.
Yeah, romance.
Flar was problematic and even went so far as to admit it.
Yeah.
So that part was difficult for me to realize that he was basically like raping her.
Well, and that's how he thought of it too, which is concerning.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
That's not this. That's not this book.
Neither of them seem to like each other at all. And like the one time Flar actually admitted that he did to himself, or at least to us, the reader, like he wouldn't admit it to Lessa. And I don't know, that was just so frustrating.
I didn't get any sort of chemistry from the two of them.
Mm-mm.
She was like actively like resistant to him.
Yeah.
To really anybody.
Well, he had more chemistry with Kylara, in my opinion, than he did with Lessa, even though he said an opposite.
Did we ever see Kylara, or did we just hear about her?
No, she like was treating his cheek or whatever after
the
Red battle.
That's right. But she was like weirdly jealous. Lessa was really jealous of Kylara.
Because Kylara was sleeping with him.
She might have been pregnant with his baby.
Yeah.
That whole concept is so fascinating too, that they go to all of the different holds and they basically just take women and boys, like, and then they just keep them. So the women are just now like the werewives, kind of like they get to do chores and have babies for them. It's really, really odd.
It's it's a different planet.
It is a different planet. That's true. And like this book is written at a different time, and like I can respect that. It's such a like I get why people would be angry. Like one of them was like, "You took my sister. Where is she?" I haven't seen her. Like she's just gone now to him.
Can somebody please pronounce the name of Flar's dragon?
I think it's Nementh.
Is the M silent?
I believe the M is silent.
I think so.
That's how I
unless
was
you
saying.
really want to make yourself uncomfortable. But
I made myself uncomfortable. I was like, Flar and his dragon.
I'm pretty sure it's Nementh. I think I remember Googling that at one point, and that's what I found.
So we're talking about like Flar being like, I like her, but I don't want to show it because she'll get a big head.
Mm-hmm.
Star Trek reference. It wasn't even me. James Bond reference up here too.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Flar, Lessa, the romance, but the world building. Let's go back to the introduction because like this was fascinating for me. People from Earth got so technologically advanced that they ventured out into space, settled on Pern, threw away all their technology, just like in Battlestar. And then so much time has passed that they've basically forgotten about Earth.
Yeah.
They basically like it's either legend or just forgotten. There's this like other celestial body that comes close to Pern.
Yeah, whenever its orbit brings it
Whenever it
close
gets
enough.
close enough, it starts throwing these threads at Pern, which just eat into the ground and destroy everything. So humans had to like the fact that dragons are man-made in this book is fascinating.
It's such a cool concept. I love it.
That like humans created dragons and this whole dragon rider thing, and it's been millennium since they've been doing this, I guess. Millennia. And
Hero one.
So it's been millennia since any of that happened, and they've just been doing this on rotation every time the red star gets close enough. That is fascinating to me, and I was hooked, and I was ready for some thread action. We finally got it.
Barely.
Yeah,
We got like a taste of it, and then they built up to the final battle, right? And then they're like, just kidding.
Yeah.
Take care of it. It's
we
fine.
got a section of thread.
Yeah, we
thread
got
business.
like a taste of thread.
I wanted more. I wanted more threads.
I did too.
And there's honestly like one sentence that would make me consider continuing reading. It was when Flar was like, "One day we're going to bring the fight to you. If we can travel through time, we can surely travel through space and like go to the red star." And I was like, "That sounds cool."
That does sound cool.
And I'm hoping Katie is able to pop in. I haven't seen her yet. I know she said she was going to try to, because she's read most or all of these and loves them. I'm sure, without giving spoilers, can tell us, those of us who feel that way, you know, I mean, I'm already reading on, but I'm sure there's others who are on, you know, on the fence, that she could enlighten if she's able to pop in.
Well, interesting, Marianne.
Yeah, this is an interesting concept. And then Kathy's kind of goes along with it.
They're apparently some type of fungus or the equivalent there, since they refer to mycelia. The scientists are here. You can see there being potential positive ecosystem. Yeah, that's interesting. And Carrie wants to know if the threads caustic are actually alive. I don't know.
They did read more like worms.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like just the idea of this like thing in the sky, that's like so cool. It reminds me of Majora's Mask, Legend of Zelda.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the red star like getting closer and closer. It's so ominous.
Yeah, just like the moon in Majora's Mask.
In Majora's Mask.
I think
3 days.
Of how, you know, we deal with the whole, you know, the people don't believe in it anymore, and having all the crap that Flar is and stands for, that he's, you know, awful guy that he is, he's still, you know, the one who's saying, no, this is what we're here for, and this is going to happen eventually, and we have to be prepared for it. And, you know, not to bring politics into our discussion, but I mean, holy cow, the world of any era needs reminders of history. And, you know, that's still timely. The idea that, you know, this mass denial of what happened in their own past is coming back to bite them.
Yeah, it's kind of like, how can y'all be so stupid? And then you're like, wait.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's like, it's only been 400 years since the last threads. I mean, I don't even know what happened 400 years ago from now.
Yeah.
What was that? What year was that?
16.
Shakespeare.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
But we know that Shakespeare happened.
Well, and also like, because I guess the different holders or whatever are getting more and more annoyed about doing these tides for no reason, in their opinion. They're like suppressing the songs that like are supposed to be teaching about this. So like people are just not learning about it as much anymore.
Yeah. So like when we talk about like the setup and we talk about like the conflict, like it's really cool.
Yeah.
Like I think there's a lot of potential here for like, even if this particular book was underwhelming in some ways or dated, like I think that there's so much potential here.
Yeah.
Which I guess is why Anne McCaffrey's written 3,000 books.
Yeah. Well, and like I didn't like this book, and I'm not going to read the next book, but I am going to jump to a different trilogy.
Pern?
Yeah, within it. So like I'm going to keep reading Pern. I'm just not going to keep reading about Lessa and Flar.
The whole idea of mass denial over the thread, since so much time has passed since the last event, was very interesting. I thought still very relevant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So really cool stuff.
Mhm.
And then then you have Lessa herself, who is this like her backstory is interesting, and it kind of just got like swept under the rug after she became a dragon warrior queen.
Oh yeah, her backstory was really interesting and tragic,
But,
and like the lengths that she went to like get her revenge and get Rotha back.
yeah, like from Fax, which I feel like should be written F''AX.
Ha. Well, I think only dragon writers can have
Yes,
apostrophes.
yes. Lucky them.
Oh yeah.
But she was like undercover, but like
Mhm.
in like the worst possible way.
But to do that for so many years though, and like destroy the thing that she loves to get it back, that's just so interesting.
And she orchestrated this whole thing. She even orchestrated Flar killing Fax, which was like, ooh, and then Fax was like, "Come with me."
Yeah. Cindy, I think this is the one I was going to try next.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I have mine right there.
Yeah. Oh, I love that cover.
Oh,
Yeah.
fancy.
Yeah.
Slick. Look out. I was talking to my older roommate, Rhythm. McCaffrey built up all the problematic parts about the society. I've heard to tear it down and improve things for women again.
Okay.
Okay. Anne McCaffrey playing the long game.
One of the things you mentioned was Fëanor and like doing the time travel thing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're skipping ahead a little bit, but
Yeah.
So if I was Fëanor and I just got back from my like time 10 years ago, and I show back up, and Lessa has brought like these 5 full 3,000 dragons with her, and I'm like spending 10 years making like 40 dragons or whatever,
And like getting completely
and
wrecked.
getting wrecked because I'm living in the same time as myself. I'd be like, you did what now?
What?
You mean I would have been pissed.
I would have been too.
I
You
would've
gotta
been
be
like,
kidding me.
wait, I just went back in time.
Oh, did we send you? Oh,
Oh, Fëanor!
right.
Cool.
Good news, Fëanor. We've got 3,000 more dragons. You didn't need to go do that whole thing
I'll see myself out.
down in the south.
I think as much as you can have a favorite character in this book, I think he's mine.
Fëanor was all right.
Mhm.
Again, not vivid personalities of any of the characters here, but I get a certain. I mean, I almost kind of get that vibe from him all the time, like more of the usual crap again.
His
Yeah.
character development was he got a tan.
He did.
That's
He came back tanned.
Yeah.
But like that whole initiative, that whole venture of sending Fëanor like down to the southern continent to do that whole
It was a good idea.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
When you find out you can go back in time, I guess you weren't thinking big enough at first.
I mean, the way she set it up, it made sense just because of the way like they received information, I guess.
And I really did like the reveal of like, oh my God, there's a reason why there's only one weir left and that they all disappeared. Like that was a cool reveal.
Yeah.
It was because they went forward, and then for her to like add to that and be like, because I went and got them. Like I thought that was really cool. I was like, okay. So at that point I was having fun. But poor Fëanor. Poor Fëanor.
Fëanor, he wasn't angry all the time, and he had the most reason to be angry, maybe. Kira has a good addition to people that weren't terrible. Like the master people were pretty entertaining.
Well, the one master, Robinson or whatever his name is, that's not his actual name, who called out all the lords for being jerks.
Yeah.
Well, that was great. That was a great time for me because I was like, yes. Y'all just like tried to uprise against the Dragon Men, and now you need them.
Mm-hmm.
You jerks. You big jerks. Is it Robinson? It's not Robinson.
Robinton with a T.
Robinson.
Other
That's
Robinson.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole time we're just like, we're bored.
Well, bored because they've had 2 months of no threads.
Can you
Mhm.
imagine?
And they're like,
Four-
sure, we'll leave our entire
Why not?
life. It's fine.
400 years of that. And one thing that was, I guess I had to kind of acclimate to were the, I guess, tiers of dragon.
Hmm. The colors.
The different
Oh,
colors.
okay.
Like the bronze riders were
The
like
leaders.
top of the top.
Yeah.
Then you had the brown riders and the blues and the greens. Blues and the greens were just kind of
There.
there,
The green ones were flirty.
flirty green ones.
Yeah.
And then you had the gold ones, which were the queens.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And for them to be like, oh my gosh, we have more than one queen now, was interesting. Oh, Watchwear,
yeah.
R.I.P. Watchwear.
Mm.
It always kind of
Yeah.
frustrates me that she picked words that were like, okay, we have where, and we have
Where.
where.
So sometimes it's capitalized.
I don't see
Sometimes-
why
Yeah.
you'd be frustrated by that.
Which where is it?
Yeah. No werewolves.
I did love her
You're
relationship with the Watchwear.
Yeah.
And and it was such a good introduction to like the
her,
animals on the world.
her abilities too.
Yeah, and her abilities.
Which Lessa had the unique ability to be able to communicate with all dragons and not just the one that she was impressed upon, which she chose to reveal at kind of a weird time to Flar.
Yeah. Well, and that scene was so weird to me because she's been keeping this secret for the whole time. And then her and Falar just discovered about time travel and they're like, we have to keep this secret. And then they both just blurt out their secrets. They're like, we're over this now. We're not going to be strategic with it at all.
Well, Flar at one point was like, yeah, but she or Lessa was like, we're gonna do it like this woman did it. And Flar's like, yeah, but she could talk to all dragons. Lessa's like, well, I can too. And he's like,
What? Come again?
it's like, when were you gonna reveal this? Good question.
I think that's something that frustrated me with this book also is that people just wouldn't share information with other people.
It's like Three's Company.
Well, and like Falar has this Falar has this master plan to like deal with the food shortage. I don't get it, so I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not laughing.
It's John Ritter.
All
The Three's Company is like
Dragonflight, that theme
solely
song.
based on like miscommunication.
But like Falar has this whole like secret plan to make sure the where is like fed over the winter, and it's her responsibility, and so she sees nobody doing anything, and she's even talked to him about it, and so she like comes up with her own plan, which was great. I mean, it wasn't a great plan, but it's great that she like had the initiative, and then he got mad at her for it. Like, just talk to each other, but it was stuff like that constantly.
Come and knock on the door.
There wasn't nearly enough leaning against doors with one's ear up to it.
Yeah, just hearing the
eyes.
wrong part of the conversation, being like,
Turn and
just,
look at the reader.
just assuming things for the rest of the
Mhm.
episode.
Kira's, I will say, I appreciated the
Yeah.
reveal at the end when the old timers were asking if Lessa was joining the Queen's Wing. Blair was like, "Excuse me, what?" But like, they kept doing that because Rigol, I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Ghoul,
Rigol
Razagul.
he was in charge of like training her for the first 2 years or whatever, and he like kept her back and didn't explain anything to her, and like basically made it seem like her role was like really, really small
And domestic.
Yeah, but then I appreciated that throughout the book her role continued to grow and she got more responsibilities and like more kind of power.
Well, yeah, under
too.
Flar, she was able to fly and do all these other things. And
She kind of did that on her own. They
Yeah,
were like,
some of
That's
"Don't
true.
fly," and she was like, "Don't they?"
Yeah. Some of those things I feel like he only helped her with because there was no stopping her. Might
Yeah.
as well do it. Give her some guidance.
right?
Yeah.
But he did, and like Rigol would not have.
Ragul sucked.
He did.
Ragul was not a cool.
His little comeuppance at the end was pretty fun. When,
Yeah.
he was like, "How are we gonna defeat the threads or whatever. We only have however many dragons. And they're just like, no, we got it.
And they're like, well, the other 5 weirs are going to join us. He's like, whatever. I'll eat my hat. If the other weirs join us, I'll eat my hat. And then the other weirs showed up. He's like,
yes, Kira.
maybe tried stopping the Queen Riders. Yeah. The Queen's Wing just really opened up possibilities. And Christy says that we got teased for a big old battle, but I don't feel like we need. I feel like at that point, like we had, like they were gonna win. Like they brought the people over that had fought the threads for the, most recently, and maybe they lost a few dragons in transit.
4. It was not a lot,
Yeah,
and they
not
were
a
old
lot.
dragons, anyways.
So like they were well stocked to fight the threads.
Yeah,
But-
the problem had been solved.
Yes.
We didn't need that to resolve what the problem was through most of the book, which was
how are we
Yeah.
going to fight the threads?
yeah.
Now, flamethrowers.
Oh, yeah. That was
Mhm.
interesting.
And I love that they call them that too.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not sci-fi enough for you yet. It takes
Yeah.
place in the future on another planet. Well, we have flamethrowers
Yes.
too.
Now that was cool. They were researching the flamethrowers because of a tapestry, which ended up being created for Lessa to be able to find her way back.
Well, it had already been commissioned by the time she got there.
Yeah, when she got there, they were already like in
Working on it,
process.
right? Yeah.
Oh, well, they just had some guy like make the clues or whatever, like writing the songs or something.
Well, she
The-
told
the
the
question
guy
song.
that he needed to write a teaching song.
Yes, the
Yeah.
question song.
The
Mhm.
question song.
Um,
I do want to know, anybody who listened to the audiobook, did they sing the songs? Because there were a lot of
Ooh.
them.
or was it left out because it was abridged?
Yeah, maybe.
I wonder how many even used it because of that. Finding where,
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Friendfleur is an Ageno 3.
Oh yeah.
Ageno 3. Laughed out loud. I figured out. Figured out what? Am I missing
Yeah.
something? Help.
Oh, that's like it's pronounced or
Ageno 3. Ageno 3.
I think it
Ageno
had
3.
like the
Each one had
compound
3.
at the back, but
Oh,
Kathy's
HNO3.
explaining it's science again.
yeah.
Science.
We recruited Kathy into Lit Wasted so that she could fact check the science.
yeah.
She's doing a great job.
Blinded me with science.
Yeah. I like that the masters how like intense they were about figuring out solutions for stuff. Like the one guy wanted to like recreate the flamethrowers, and then they created the Ageno 3,
Ageno 3.
Ageno 3,
You gotta say it like
whatever thing.
Age no 3.
Where's the H
Ageno 3.
come from though? Because it's an H.
Ageno 3.
Hmm.
You gotta slur
Ageno.
HNO 3.
I see it, yeah.
Audio was only 3 hours.
Yeah,
Wow.
the
I wish
audiobooks-
The book was only 3 hours.
It was abridged on the library audiobooks, but I know that there was one on Audible that was like, I don't think it was abridged.
Did the lack of chapters bother anybody else?
I didn't notice.
Think of it as lack of chapters because those little verses to me, that's no different than saying chapter 9.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
that's a stopping point.
that's how I use those too.
There was just so much space in between some of them.
I think what really bothers Adam too is on the Kindle it says an hour and 36 minutes or until the end of the chapter.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
but we read Terry Pratchett.
We
Who
did.
hated
That
chapters.
was a long time ago.
Okay.
But like, yeah, like at the bottom of the Kindle, I would get to part 2 and it'd be like 2 hours and 3 minutes left. And I'd be like, "Ugh,"
Yeah.
and I would make that face and that sound. And Christy was like, why did you just do that at 3 a.m.?
No, I was asleep.
That's true.
But
But yeah, I couldn't
Like
if I'm,
that looked like a chapter for me.
it did. It did look
Agreed.
like, and it was definitely a break in the action, which is good. There were just times where I needed to stop reading, but I didn't know if I could. And like because my Kindle didn't say like only 2 minutes left, I couldn't be
Mhm.
like, okay, I'll just power through 2 minutes because I didn't know when the next.
Well, we now know what
Onward.
feature the next model of Kindle needs to include.
Yeah.
It needs to grant permission to the reader to stop anytime they
You can
want.
stop anytime now.
Yet though I can't. I can't just stop in the middle of it.
No, he's the type of person that has to have like a solid stopping point. Like I can
Even though
stop.
stopping points are
See, I can stop anywhere. I can just be
Yeah.
like, okay,
they're
I'm good.
arbitrary.
That's a
Like,
superpower.
It's not.
some
Kristen can
chapters
stop in the
like
middle of a
literally end
Very
and
easy.
start in the middle of a scene, and it's complete. Well, but it's a stopping point. there's
See?
a higher number there, so it's a stopping point.
Scenes are like chapters.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard being me.
So one of the things we talked about a couple of times, and also Jeff mentioned in Discord, he said the pacing is weird. If I wasn't for sure I was reading the correct version, I would think it was abridged. Seems like some things happen off the page, and in a few spots there are some time jumps that are not immediately apparent. I thought the way that she dealt with time jumps was really interesting. Not the time traveling, just like she became the watchwoman or whatever, or what, I don't remember the term, and then like
Were Queen or
immediately
Werewolman.
yeah, 2 turns had passed, but they didn't tell us 2 turns had passed until later.
Mm-mm.
Yes, in between part 1 and 2, and part 2 begins with her being taught by Ragul
Mm-hmm.
some pretty basic stuff. It seems.
Yeah, it seems like something that would happen right after you get chosen by a dragon.
But apparently 2 years had gone by because then she had this conversation with somebody, and
Oh, the woman, the lead woman.
yeah, they were like, "We had enough tithes last year to get by."
Mhm.
I was like, "How would you know that?" And that's when I knew that more time had passed than I
Yeah.
originally thought.
So there's a couple of moments that she did that with, which was really interesting and like jarring a little bit.
Now, this book, I believe, I did a quick search. I was thinking it might have been originally like 3 or 4 stories that were meshed together, but what
Yeah,
I'm
I got some
seeing is 2
details for that.
novellas.
Mhm.
Yeah, it says it was 2 novellas, so
Do
there
tell,
might be
Christy.
more editing when she jammed them together.
Definitely. So she initially published 2 novellas, Where Search and Dragon Rider, in a science fiction magazine.
You want to see what they look like?
Oh yeah,
This could have gone on our
Judge a
Judge a
Book
Book by its cover.
Oh
Oh. Oh,
my!
I don't like it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Where
now
is
don't take it away. Look,
I don't like it.
look at the expression on the guy on the right-hand cover. He is reacting to what he's seeing on the left hand.
He's like,
He likes
Oh.
these.
"That's a petrified dragon statue, I guess."
That's not a dragon. I don't like it.
Yeah, look
Ew.
at that. Those are like claymation.
Yeah, they're weird. But
Ugh.
if anybody is interested, so Where Search features Lessa being recruited to establish a telepathic bond with the queen dragon at its hatching. And then Dragon Rider features the growth of Lessa's queen dragon and their training together. So then the magazine editor asked to see dragons fighting thread, and then also suggested time travel.
Whoa.
So then she wrote a 3rd story titled Crack Dust, Black Dust, which was not published separately, but provided crucial material for the novel. So they kind of just, I think she took all 3 of those and kind of stirred them together and then added some stuff.
So the
Yeah.
time travel was not
Leanne,
very
you definitely.
interesting.
So the publisher was like, "Give me time travel,
Yeah.
baby."
Right.
But it's
With his
really,
big
He was a
cigar.
flair.
It's time travel.
Listen, woman.
what's also super cool is the novella Where Search won the 1968 Hugo Award for Best Novella, and then Dragon Rider won the Nebula Award for Best Novella in 1969. And she was the first woman writer to win either of those awards.
Oh God.
Not based on the cover for sure.
Not based on the
No.
cover, probably.
Okay,
Give me time travel.
put it back a second now. Put that back.
Oh, come on, Dan.
The first time I saw that, the one on the right, I thought that was a 3-headed dragon. Like those, I thought those were 3
Oh.
necks. The eyes, those are wings.
Oh.
Yeah.
Those are oddly
Those
shaped.
are wings, of course.
This is
Don't they
even-
look like wings, Dan?
I thought they were really long necks and the heads were off of the cover.
It's like the Hydra of dragons.
Right.
But the one on the left,
Who hurt this artist?
Somebody after he made these, probably.
Yeah, I like my
Yeah.
dragon. My dragon.
Oh,
No.
that's interesting that we got this sort of stitched together,
Mm-hmm.
and that the editor was the one that said, "I want to see dragons fighting threads and time travel."
Yeah.
And she said, "Okay."
Yeah. And she considers this to be a sci-fi book and not a fantasy story because of the lack of magic.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, never thought about that.
Is that all it takes?
I think
Well,
actually there is something about that though. Like the difference between fantasy and sci-fi. There is something about magic.
Interesting.
the definition I always liked was sci-fi could happen someday, but fantasy
Yeah.
could never happen.
Yeah.
To me, the telepathy.
Mm.
There's no science there, and even the time
No.
people. There's no, and I know it doesn't have to be magic that has a Brandon Sanderson magic system scientifically explained, but that stuff's bordering on magic. The time
Back at
travel telepathy.
Time, definitely the 60s, 70s. I feel like people were like, "Oh, telepathy, definitely a thing."
Well, I guess you have to remember that dragons are man-made in
Yeah.
this case. So I guess whatever telepathic abilities were probably by design.
That's true. They designed it that way.
Yeah.
And they should have known that Lessa would be able to communicate with all of them.
Yeah, I guess I don't know how you have some people have abilities to be able to do it with everybody.
Tech glitch.
So,
did you try
yeah.
rebooting?
Got an antenna or something. But yeah, these books are set in the future.
Yeah.
Because this is Earth people settling on Pern, and then far, far, far in the future, where Earth has become legend or forgotten, which I thought was awesome. And I was into the sci-fi stuff. I was in, the Red Star. That's pure sci-fi. Love that part. It just happened to kind of have dragons. Dragons make me go to fantasy place.
I like the fantasy more.
I mean, but in the Expanse, we got to see other planets with alien creatures that
Spoiler alert.
kind of rival dragons to a certain extent. That's not super spoilery, is it? Sorry.
There were dragons in space?
No, there weren't. But we saw aliens. This is just aliens.
Well, they're man-made.
They're bred
Yeah.
to be this way.
But the threads, that's alien.
Yeah.
The thread is alien. And Katie says it gets more sci-fi further into the series. Katie's here.
I love that. I'm really excited about that. And I love mixing science fiction and fantasy. This book,
big fan.
This book to me is fantasy with a taste of sci-fi. And I'm excited to see it start to even out or go more into the sci-fi.
And that's where it kind of hooked me.
area.
I enjoyed the sci-fi elements as part of the world building and as part of the conflict. The Red Star is just I love the Red Star.
Mm-hmm.
This is just fantasy where fantasy world has other planets, only science, and this is a Gen 3.
And Jennifer makes a really good point about dragons.
Comes from pockets of dinosaurs that survived on Earth during human times.
That makes sense.
Space dragons of the future. There you go. People who have read this for the first time, what makes you want to continue or not continue about the series?
Well, like I said, I didn't love this book, but I do want to keep reading this series. And it's fantasy mixed with sci-fi and seeing more about this world. Because I think the concepts are all there.
Yeah. Same for me. I think I would continue with the hope that you get more, and the premise of it getting more sci-fi as it goes on, and that's kind of cool. That would keep me reading. What would keep me not reading is kind of the I guess the shallowness of the storytelling. I guess of the character development.
Yeah.
Kind of the sort of disjointedness of the the storytelling itself. I guess because it was novellas that became a longer book.
When I didn't see anything about the next book, like if that was just written as a novel to begin with, or if it's like shorter stories that she combined, because I think that's going to make a difference.
Let's see, everybody, they say that Kathy's like you, where she's like, I don't maybe don't want to continue doing what we did, but there's something for everybody here in Pern. Kira just read the wiki, just did the cliff notes.
That's fair.
Any sufficient advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Katie says that the Dragon's Dawn is favorite book of the series. So if you're interested in that, we have a recommendation.
Is that, which one is that? Is that the next one?
Dragon's Dawn? No.
No.
It sounds like it's a
later
prequel.
on. Okay, cool.
Debbie says the writing and the world building smooths out as the series progresses.
Yeah.
See, that's what I was saying about Dresden Files, because like people love the Dresden Files, but that first book was woof.
That's how I feel about the Dresden Files. Like I love it, but
woof.
it's a little, yeah.
Say it.
Woof.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not surprised that it gets better as you go on. It feels like it would, especially since there's so many.
There's a lot. Now I happen to have the Kindle version that is like
The first three.
So I could just keep going.
You could.
But
I do have to show these. So these are the types of covers they had,
Can
like
you
in
just
the
make it
80s, 90s, that were what I kind of fell in love with when
the way
Those are good.
the bookstore at the mall and seeing these gorgeous, very 80s covers.
I feel like I've seen these.
Like
I really do love those covers.
Those
Yeah.
dragons are better.
The other ones.
I
Yeah.
don't know. Have you seen this?
Ah, God.
they're not that.
I don't know why you would see this on the bookshelf and not immediately buy this. For 60 cents, what a steal.
The,
I'm gonna have a nightmare. I'm gonna have
Magazine.
nightmares.
I'll send it to you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
There is a massive
Debbie has them signed.
used bookstore.
Wow.
I have there's a really big used bookstore about an hour and a half from me that has a whole section with classic sci-fi and fantasies, like from like I got an old years ago we had Day of the Triffids on the pole, and
Oh yeah.
when I've wanted to read ever since, but I got that there. It's like published back in the 50s, like that old 50s look. Next time I go, I'm going to see if they have those.
nice.
Mm.
So Debbie got those signed.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool. Is Anne McCaffrey still alive?
No.
No. And there's later books that like maybe her kids or some family member, like if you go through the bibliography on Wikipedia, you'll see that she's the author up until a point, and then other McCaffreys take over after a while.
Like a
Kind of like
Tolkien.
It's in the family. Kira's got 3 series on the bookshelf. No idea where they came from.
Maybe that's just how the books show up.
That's how prolific they are. How like
The book fairies. They show up every once in a while.
just show up. Well, we're getting close to the hour. Do you have any more discussion topics? Anything else? Anybody wanted to talk about, or with Dragonflight? Anything we didn't talk about?
We covered most of the stuff y'all talked about in Discord.
Oh, people saying how it was like it reminded them of Fourth Wing in a couple of
Yeah.
places.
Fourth Wing.
Interesting.
Fourth
Yeah.
Wing.
That's a
You
good
don't know
series.
It's like a really popular new like romantasy series.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I
That
still
comes
haven't
due
read
out in January.
Avatar, so
Hmm.
I got to catch up. But
Oh my God, it's in January. Sorry. I just realized. Oh my God. Okay.
so,
Huh?
Mr. Anna Kitty, hi.
Aw.
Huh.
If y'all missed out, we had a really fun lunch on Sunday at the Irondale Cafe in Irondale, and I hope we can do more stuff like that and like plan more stuff in advance so that people can come from farther away and we can make it worth your while. Maybe we can like meet somewhere like Atlanta or somewhere that has like a more. For those of you in like Portland and Colorado, looking at Nebraska or something. I don't know. What's in Nebraska?
I don't know.
Corn. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I would love to do more like
It
in
was
person.
fun, and it's always fun to see members in real life.
Yeah. So Kira, we got to get you down here. Anybody else that wants to join us, we'll come up with something that we can do. LitCon.
Yeah.
LitCon, I was about to say.
It's happening.
Gotta get me out of Virginia.
Come on.
Yeah.
So you know, I think there's always some lively discussion going on in Discord. So if you're not in Discord, you should get there. It's a happening place. And then also want to remind everybody, I reminded you on Discord that Secret Santa, this is the last chance for you to sign up. Fortunately, I get to decide when to actually push the button to make Secret Santa assignments, but I plan on doing it tomorrow morning.
So do it today if you're
do it
doing
today.
it. And once he pushes the button, it automatically assigns people. So if you sign up late, like there's not anyone.
Yeah, and I can assign you late, but there may not be
someone to do
someone
it
for
with.
you. And I don't know how it does odd numbers or whatever. But Kira's posted the Discord link on Facebook. If you're on YouTube, it's discord.gg/
You don't have to.
And for those
I'm
who
sure
are
we
not
can put it in the lounge too.
well, and those expire. Those last, I think, a week. And then, so the link is always changing. So otherwise, we would have it pinned in the Facebook lounge or something. But so if you ever go to join and you don't have a working link, let us know.
But we are also active on the Facebook and the Literally Wasted Lounge. Discord's a happening place. We're looking into these book club apps because we got to stay, connected to the future and relevant.
Creating a
We're
channel.
always relevant.
I'm creating a channel for our December book right now.
So speaking of December book, what was it? We have it right here.
8 Billion Genies.
8 Billion Genies. It's a graphic novel. We always do we're not always, but most of the time we do graphic novels in December. There was one December where we didn't. We read Dune, but we spread that out over 2 months.
Yeah.
But 8 Billion Genies for December. I'm looking forward to it.
Very excited.
I've heard really good things about it.
And I'm pretty sure it's on Hoopla. So if your library uses Hoopla, I'm pretty sure you can get it on there.
You can read it on your phone.
Oh, yeah.
So 8 Billion Genies for December. And then looking farther into the future, into 2025, we have our January short story collection, which is a little known book called iRobot by some guy named Isaac. So what a way to kick off 2025 with some classic sci-fi. Jehoshaphat.
I'm not sure there's a lot of Jehoshaphat's in iRobot.
Oh, there isn't. I just know the Caves of Steel, like the Caves of Steel trilogy or whatever. It's Jehoshaphat all over the place. Which is not a name as much as it is an exclamation.
Carrie started the graphic novel and is enjoying it.
Oh, it's so good. So that's exciting.
Nice.
So last thoughts about Dragonflight. I'm glad we read it. Again, I'm a sucker for like the first of anything.
I am glad we read it also. And I'm looking forward to getting more into Pern with new characters.
Yeah, you should definitely find something you like there.
Yeah.
In Pern Land. Like I'm so into first that we were like, let's put on Sesame Street for Benny. We put on the first episode of Sesame Street.
We did.
From 1969.
It holds up. I feel it holds up.
It holds up mostly. There was like this weird claymation where they didn't have eyes,
a little bit scary.
and it was terrifying.
And Grover is orange.
Oscar.
Oscar is
Oscar's
orange. We haven't watched a ton of Sesame Street yet.
But it's like, Benny, we're gonna start from the beginning.
He loved it
He did.
instead of napping.
So
You have access to all the Sesame Streets?
yeah, it's on HBO Max.
I don't
Or
think
Max or
they're
whatever.
all on it, but season 1 definitely was. There's like several seasons on there.
I know they released some like on DVD, but it was just a handful of episodes years ago. Interesting. I love classic Sesame Street.
Kira's gonna want to watch the movie again in January. I guess we're talking about iRobot,
Mm.
starring William Smith. Jeff is here having PC problems. So sorry. 8 Billion Genies rocks. Katie thought you were talking about a Dragonflight movie. That'd be fun.
As long as the dragons look like those covers.
Which covers? You mean these? Yeah,
God, y'all hate me.
there it is. Well, there we go. Dragonflight. We did it. Christy's yawning. So that's you know what that means.
The chiming of the bell.
Party's just beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Thank y'all for being here. I know it's the day before Thanksgiving and it can be kind of hectic, especially if you're hosting like we are.
Yeah.
Wow.
So our house is going to be just a joyful bundle of madness tomorrow.
It will be.
So I hope that anybody who's partaking has a good Thanksgiving.
And if you're not partaking, I hope you have
Hope you have a great day.
Yeah.
And safe travels.
Safe travels. Hope your flights don't get canceled or delayed or anything. Yeah, Anna says after party on Discord. Oh yeah, that party rages into the wee hours. Trust me, I've seen the notifications.
Yeah.
But thank y'all so much for being here, and thanks Dan and Brandy for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great to have you, and we'll see you in December for our holiday hangout.
It might be 2 weeks from now.
And which is always a good time. We like to have a little lit wasted holiday party. Maybe we can coax Talia and Lucas.
Yeah, we'll see if they're
join us.
available.
And then for our discussion of 8 billion genies.
I assume that won't be on Christmas Day.
No.
Yeah.
So in 2 weeks on the 18th, on the 11th, we'll have the Christmas party.
hangout.
Yeah. And then on the 18th, the next week, we'll go ahead and do the live discussion so that it doesn't fall on the 25th, which is the next Wednesday.
Which is Christmas Day. So don't have to worry about lit wasted on Christmas.
Yeah. And the dates will go up on the banners on the 1st.
But Secret Santa, sign up for
We'll do
reals.
it now.
It's happening. It's on Elfster. There's a link on
Don't
Discord. There's a
forget.
link on the Literally Wasted Lounge. I'm sure anybody can point you in the right direction. Once again, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.